The Birthright route of Fire Emblem Fates is known to be one of the easier entries in the series, even on Lunatic Classic difficulty. As a result, I feel as if I've never actually played or taken Birthright seriously, so to give myself some motivation to do so, I decided to make the game harder for myself with one simple change, by giving every single enemy 100% crit, while player and ally units are completely unchanged and are granted no compensation. These modifications were made by using Paragon Editor to manually flag every single enemy in the Birthright route to have forced crits. This does not change their displayed crit value in-game, but it guarantees that all enemies will always land criticals on successful hits, unless other mechanics explicitly prevent them from doing so. Since critical hits deal 3 times with damage, or 4 times with killer weapons, this means that attacks from enemies can and will one-shot the majority of your cast. Naturally, this will result in a noticeable reduction in player unit survivability. Since I have given myself no advantages to counteract this change, I will need to play the game much differently from normal. I will need to heavily prioritize avoiding counterattacks in any way possible, and use methods to avoid damage entirely, either by stacking damage reduction or by stacking avoid. If an enemy does no damage, then the crit will not do any damage, and if I dodge an attack, then the critical would also not land. But these are not trivial solutions, especially in the early game where your options are limited. Furthermore, even small amounts of chip damage can be extremely threatening when multiplied by 3, and failing to dodge even a single attack can mean instant death. Needless to say, these modifications will make the game a lot harder, but hopefully not as difficult as playing the Conqueror's route with 0 strength and magic. Since I haven't played Birthright in ages, I go into this challenge without much knowledge of how any maps will play out under these conditions. So, because of the exploratory and volatile nature of this challenge, I will not use Ironman restrictions, and I'll be making heavy use of resets to complete this playthrough. That said, I do not plan to use DLC maps or items, and I also avoid skirmish maps as well. Skirmish maps are technically a feature of the Birthright route, which allows you to freely grind against enemies for experience, but unfortunately, with my current modding tools, I do not know how to modify skirmish enemies to have 100% crit, so I think it's easier to just exclude them from the challenge entirely. With all of that out of the way, let us begin. I begin by choosing Lunatic Classic difficulty, and I make a female core named Corided, which is what all my units will be whenever they are attacked. I choose a plus luck boon and minus magic bane and a priestess talent. The idea here is to boost luck to maximize miracle activations, which is one way to avoid being one-shot by a critical hit. I start my playthrough from the very beginning, before the Branch of Fate and before the Birthright route technically starts. In the prologue of Birthright against enemies with 100 crit, we have a premonition of the upcoming route split, where we are treated to a scripted cutscene where Xander one-shots Ryoma with a guaranteed 63 damage crit, setting the tone for how things will go for the rest of the playthrough.